Don Calloway, Democratic strategist and host of the Caucus Room podcast, Republican strategist Susan Del Percio, and David Jolly, former Republican representative from Florida, both of whom are MSNBC analysts. So, guys, Susan, you and I have talked about how it benefits Trump to draw this process out, which keeps all the hopefuls enthusiastically stumping for him out on the trail. But at what point does Trump need to pick someone and unify the ticket?
Well, I think it's an interesting word, unify the ticket. I don't think he will pick someone who will be able to unify the ticket. I heard Tim Scott also use that expression on Meet the Press today. And I think Donald Trump is looking just for someone who will obey. That's it. And frankly, he has until the convention to do so.
Yeah,
there's no need.
Yeah. That's true. I mean, and traditionally, you know, that has happened at conventions as well. But David, Governor Kristi Noem, she has certainly signaled she very much wants this job. But all the talk around her has been about her admission that she shot her one-year-old dog after she says he was aggressive. And here's what she said about it today. Take a listen.
This book is filled with vulnerable, painful moments in my life, filled with times where I've made very difficult decisions. The reason that this story is in the book, because people need to understand who I am and some of those difficult decisions. This was a dangerous animal that was killing livestock and attacking people. And I had little children at the time. Our operation had many kids running around and people in interaction with the public. And I made a difficult choice.
Okay, does this show she can make difficult choices, or that at the first sign of trouble, she's going to reach for a shotgun?
Yeah, Alex, I think the painful moments in the book are first for her dog Cricket, and second for whoever's reading it, and lastly for Kristi Noem. Called the new Kristi Noem rule of politics: don't shoot your dog and write a book about it. What I hear in all of this, though, is desperation. She is a term-limited, second-term governor who has hitched her sail to Donald Trump. And just like Lindsey Graham and Tim Scott and Elise Stefanik and everybody else, she sees her road ending in politics unless she can get a second life from Donald Trump. So the only thing she might see in this moment is Donald Trump likes people that can punch back at the press, punch back at the critics, and show they can take a hit. But listen, I mean, puppies still poll pretty well. They certainly poll higher than Kristi Noem right now. I think she's done in the Veeps race.
I mean, puppies poll well. Yeah, they do. Okay, Dawn, there were other problems with this book. Her office says that she's now going back to correct some errors, and that would include a false claim that she met with Kim Jong-un. She came under fire for refusing to say abortion bans should have exceptions for rape and incest. Look, she is a governor, so this can't be attributed to rookie mistakes. What are they?
You know, I think that our Sunday family may be surprised to learn that I am not a learned scholar in the political history of Kristi Noem. So when I see what she's been dealing with over the last couple of weeks, I am reminded of an age-old African-American proverb. You know you done messed up, don't you? Because if you're explaining, you're losing. I look at her, and you have to remember, David made a very important point. There are certain governors who fall on a schedule in which they are not necessarily rolling into another job, or they're not necessarily electorally viable. She's from a state that is not extremely high profile. She doesn't necessarily have a big future or something that she can walk right into next to her. So it's kind of a woman without a political country, kind of scrambling to save face. And if she is term limited, she goes into another 4-year term of Trump. What is she to do after that? So this is someone who's unfortunately a young woman who has tied their train to an unrighteous administration who really doesn't have a future. There's no boards. There's no extraordinary university presidencies waiting to accept this woman, particularly not after she doesn't shot her dogs. White folks care about dogs and yoga. And it looks like she has violated at least 50% of that. And I don't know where she goes from here.
Okay. Okay. Let me just ask you very quickly to each of you, who's going to be Trump's Veep? If you have to guess right now, you can just call out a name. I'm not going to hold you to it. You know, come back in a couple of weeks and go, oh, look who you called. Just, Dawn, you first. Just throw out a name. Who do you think?
I don't know, but do it apprentice style and culminate at the convention.
Okay. Susan?
Elise Stefanik, although I don't really see it.
Okay. David?
Marco Rubio.
Okay. Wait, but isn't there that problem with two people in Florida? Both of them being residents of Florida?
he can get a Virginia driver's license. I think the real dark horse is actually Ron DeSantis, and I think Donald Trump could win if he picks Ron DeSantis.
Really? You think when they had that sort of kumbaya moment last weekend that it was about more than just...
Not kumbaya, more Reagan Bush 80. Ron DeSantis, lame duck, term limited, have him leave the governorship, be his Veep. All of a sudden, that's a strong ticket to unite Republicans.
Interesting. Okay, let's stay in Florida and talk about the private donor event this weekend with you, Susan. It was attended by many of these Veep hopefuls. Trump has compared Biden's administration to the Gestapo at this event. He also called Jack Smith an evil thug and deranged. What does that tell you, Susan, about the revenge that he would try to take if he wins?
That Donald Trump is exactly who he says he is. This is how he has behaved since he came on the political scene in 2015. There's nothing surprising. He's gone after people's looks. He's used very inappropriate language. Of course, in this day and age, given what's going on with Israel-Hamas war, it's particularly offensive that he would use that word. But at the end of the day, this is who Donald Trump is. It should not have shocked a single person in that room, nor should it shock or surprise anyone watching today.
So, Dawn, back to that poll that shows Trump and the president essentially tied, although Biden does get a little bit of a bump among likely voters. Is the Biden campaign doing enough to make up for deficits that we've seen in earlier polls?
Yes, they absolutely are. I would remind our group that there is a cycle to campaign spending and there is a cycle to campaign polling. And you will see as we get closer to the election, I don't think Biden's ever going to pull away. And surprise, spoiler alert, no Democratic nominee will ever dominate a presidential election again in our lifetimes. But you will see as we move towards September and October, the polls will be more reflective of what we'll see. Donald Trump will not be 5-10 points ahead. His favorables and unlikables are extremely high. But now what we're starting to see is the polls become more reflective of as close as it actually is. It will be extremely close. Biden will win. But now that, and again, I can tell all of my Democratic constituencies, stop all the bedwetting that we've been doing from last fall through March. It will be close. Biden will win. And the polls are starting to reflect that. So please stop calling me and texting me saying we're not doing enough. We are. There's a schedule of spending. There's a schedule of campaign executions. And we're going to see that reflected in polling as we get closer to Election Day.
Last question to you, David. If Trump is convicted, 80% of supporters say they will continue to support him. Only 4% say they definitely won't support him. You've got another 16% who say, yeah, they'd reconsider. So that 20% or so, if they go to Biden, does it put Biden over the top? Does it validate everything that Dawn just said, that Biden wins?
I think Joe Biden could win this with or without a conviction. But with the conviction, I think he really wins, not just because Trump loses Trump supporters, but the persuadables, the mythical Nikki Haley voter, goes to Joe Biden. Here's what I think Donald Trump is doing terribly wrong. White economic nationalism, despite its racist undertones, works for Donald Trump and could get him the election. But the grievance politics around being indicted for business fraud, trying to steal an election, inciting a violent coup against the Capitol and the democracy, and cheating on your wife with an adult porn star, that doesn't work with the Nikki Haley voter. So the grievance politics around Donald Trump's legal liabilities and possible convictions will lose Donald Trump the race. The grievance politics around economic populism, despite where the facts lie, do work for Donald Trump. I think a conviction adds to Joe Biden's ways to win this race.
I don't know if you listen to Dawn, Donald Trump ought to get a dog and do some yoga. But anyway, good to see all three of you. Love you all. Thank you so much.